She's now an advocate against domestic violence, hoping to create a home for victims here in Pensacola.
And when I turned back around, a shotgun was facing me and he shot me.
Williams was shot in the stomach, killing her unborn baby she had named Jamie.
She saved my life. You're not alone. You're not alone. And if I came out, you can come out.
Well, good evening, Pensacola, and welcome to another edition of No More Silence. And I have my partner in crime, Miss Carolyn Williams, today. Carolyn, how are you?
I am doing well. How you doing, Vernon?
I'm doing well. This month went by really, really quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, real quick. Yeah.
All right. I understand we got a very special guest today.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
You want to introduce our gorgeous guest today?
Yeah, she's going to tell you her name, and I'm going to give you some information about her.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matea Suarez. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I am just so honored to be here with Vernon and Evangelist Carolyn. This is such a blessing.
I am so glad to have you with us. She has her own private practice, and it's called Be Still Therapy. And she started that in 2022. And she also taught in the Escambia County School District for 8 years as an elementary teacher. She's married, and she has 3 beautiful children, and she's a counselor, and her theories are faith-based counseling, grief counseling, and couple counseling, and cognitive behavior therapy and acceptance committee. She has a wide variety of counseling. So we're just so glad that you're with us on tonight. So let's just get started. Let's just start. Okay. You know that this show is about domestic violence. And so I want you to tell the people about what are some of the things that people go through when they're in a domestic violence situation as far as mental health.
Hold on for a minute. I'm not getting your audio. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, exactly what they go through when they're in mental health. I know that one of them is PTSD, which is trauma. So can you expound on that? Is exactly what they go through when they're in domestic violence?
So
I know that
dealing with survivors.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Carolyn. So dealing with survivors in domestic. Okay. Dealing with survivors in domestic violence scenarios and survivors, a lot of trauma is going within in a sense of, I always tell people that trauma, we think it's something that's so traumatic. Like the domestic violence, yes, is a huge thing that happens. But the thing is also the cycle of abuse. We don't think about the things that happened prior to the domestic violence and what led up to the survivor and the victim being subjected to domestic violence. I never tell my clients, and I always say it's never justifiable to put your hands on someone or do any things of that sense. But the thing is, let's learn how to be preventative and see how the cycle of abuse happens, because usually it starts with tension. It's usually the phase of okay, I'm trying to please this person, or the apologies that they hear, or the promises. A lot of love bombing comes into that within the relationships when you're in a domestic abusive relationship. Not even a relationship, but even family. I feel as if we get the sense of relationships and the patterns and behaviors that people come in, the people that are closest to us, usually the people that hurt us the most. So being mindful and understand that the cycle that we create, it creates confusion, but then it also gives us hope that things will change. But I always tell my clients, based off the fact of, is it the hope that we feel that within ourselves, that we feel as if that they're going to be able to change, or is it something that they truly intentionally do? A lot of times with domestic violence and the people being in a toxic relationship, it's truly based off the fact of somebody not feeling as if they are good enough. They are struggling with trying to please someone. They're looking for their worth outside of themselves. So they go and they settle for being, they believe that they're unlovable. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
settle for being needed. So a lot of times is when we get in these relationships, or even if it's familial, it's like, let me prove myself. Let me tie my worth to the performance. Let me tie my worth to my production. Let me tie my worth to if I'm a good person, if I do this. So usually the predator, I always say, or the person that's the abuser, they're taking the sense of that person's heart, knowing that they're earning for validation from others because they truly do not feel that within themselves. So it makes that person an easy target.
So you said something about the cycle. What do you mean when you say the cycle? What are you saying when you say that? What do you mean?
So the cycle of tension, explosion, and then honeymoon.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
You feel the tension in the relationship. You feel it as if most times the person that's being the victim, they're very hyper vigilant,
Mm-hmm.
and they're hyper focused on trying to make sure that person is okay with them, that they are doing what that person wants so they can receive the love that they deserve, but it's not healthy. So the thing is, we're in the tension. I'm feeling the tension in the relationship is so thick. But then the thing is, that person's walking on eggshells, trying to please, like tiptoeing. The
Mm-hmm.
abuser, then you have the explosion. When you don't live up to their standard, or it doesn't go that way, now I'm snapping on you and I'm putting my hands on you based off the lack of self-control from the other person and not being able to regulate their emotions. And the thing is, the mental health behind domestic abusive relationship is the two people in it. It's not about being a good or bad person. It's the fact that any relationship you're in, whether familial or being in a friendship, it's only going to be as healthy as the two people in it. So a
Okay.
lot of times it's knowing and go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm Go ahead. Go ahead. And well,
It's
I want
seeing.
to know
Go ahead.
that what is this rooted in? How does all this start? How does a person come to the point where they end up in a domestic violence relationship? I heard a lot of women even myself, I said I would never ever let a man put his hand on me. So what is the root of it? Where does it start?
So I'm gonna speak. I only self-disclose only to be able to give people a sense of insight of when you see something. With mental health, I always tell people is nature versus nurture.
Mm,
It can be definitely DNA in the sense of like mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, things that can be genetically within our bodies that has been passed down. But then I also go back to nurture. And I always say that people say, well, generational curses. I don't believe in generational curses. I believe in generational trauma because the fact
wow.
of the matter is my mother allowed my father to put his hands on her based on the fact of not knowing how to communicate. And also, I watched that. So I felt as if, as a child, that's what love is. So the nurture and the environment. So when I got into a relationship, I felt comfortable and that was like, this is normal to me. I've been here before. And the thing is, being a codependent, a person that was people pleasing and trying to, like I said, find love and fill internal void by external means. So the thing is, if I knew I didn't love myself, but I really didn't know that, I felt as if I did love myself, but I was so based off the fact of, okay, what I do for somebody based off condition. So when you're in that cycle of doing things for someone that is conditional and not love, where it's unconditional, where it's just based off of true transparency, honesty, vulnerability, in healthy communication where somebody can feel emotionally safe and secure. Because the thing is, before we even get abused physically, we've already been abused mentally and emotionally.
Wow.
You know, you want to jump in there, Vernon? You want to ask
No,
her a question? Say something,
uh,
Vernon?
no, no. Go ahead. I'm just finding it quite interesting. Continue.
Yeah. But, you said something there is that, uh, even with children, you say you was a child. So if they're in that environment, they don't know what is right and what is wrong. But if they're in that environment, and so many children today, that's why we have so much killing going on because they don't know how to communicate. They think that communication is fighting, a gun, or whatever, but they don't know how to communicate because they came up in a home where they never experienced that. And so many times, what happens is parents don't want to, they don't realize that, and they don't want to take accountability, kind of take accountability for that. I know that when I was in my domestic violence relationship, and my son, he was playing with my baby, which is 2 years old, and he told her, he said he had a gun, and he said, "I'm going to shoot you the way that James shot Mama." And then from that
Mm.
day forward, I never allowed a gun. I never bought him a toy as far as a gun. But it stems in your childhood. Do you agree with that?
I do agree, and that's the thing. What we stated, I think we're saying exactly the same thing. Generational trauma is something that's passed down. So the thing is, generational trauma comes from the fact that if my mom didn't choose to heal from this, then guess what happens? She doesn't have the awareness. She doesn't have the emotional literacy to tell me, "Hey, Matea, this is not what you deserve." She might say it, but if I don't see her truly not accepting those things and allowing those things within the sense of pouring back into herself, setting boundaries, loving herself, because even though it's not justifiable for anybody to put their hands on anybody, but the fact of the matter is, if we would go into it knowing who we are, but also knowing whose we are and being secure within ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't settle for less than we deserve. So I feel as if, yes, you had the awareness. You went through this, your son said it, and you said, "Hey, we're going to remove anything in our home. No toys are going to be played." I feel as if generational trauma, in the sense of what the environment, like we stated, if that's all I know, why are we expecting more?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then finally, it was at the point where, when I did marry my second husband, he was able to see how we handle conflict. He was able to see how he loved me. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, he would buy his girlfriend all these gifts and this and then. I'm like, why are you doing this? And he said, because I see Chat doing that for you. So it was able to be able to get out of that environment and be able to demonstrate him how you care for a woman, how you respect a woman. And so it can change. It can change. It can, even if you grew up in that situation, you have to make a decision. You know what? I don't like this. I know that this is wrong, and it can change. You can either change it by being in a different environment, or either you can change it by being able to go and get mental help. Someone that can help you to be able to get to that point. You don't have to be in a predicament where you feel like it's hopeless. There is help available for you, and that's what we want to bring to you today. Is trauma. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to go through that trauma alone. So, what are some of the things that you can offer a person that is going through trauma? What can you offer for them,
The
Matez?
thing is, somebody that's going through trauma, what I can offer is the thing of, please seek help. Do not continue to not be okay. based off the fact of what your generations ahead of you have said. Like before me, my mother wore the badge, my grandmother wore the badge of being strong and saying that this is what women should do. We should keep putting on face. My dad, let's man up. I see so many men that just say, let's man up. You don't feel feelings. I always tell people what you can do. The first thing with trauma is let's get awareness. Even if it's not from a mental health clinician, sometimes truly just researching, getting awareness and finding out, where do I fit in this? And if it's something that wrestles in your spirit, yes, seek out mental health so you can have somebody to go through and process it with you. But the thing is, I always tell my clients, like you said, Carolyn, the biggest thing is once I give my clients the awareness, they have a choice. You can either choose to be healthy and stay in that healthy and grow, or you can choose to stay in that same toxic cycle and continue those same patterns and behaviors. So the thing is, after the awareness is the choice. It's also knowing that with healing and trauma, when you're getting out of it, we have normalized so much of that. Healing is not linear. That's been the whole thing. Go to therapy. Everybody says go to therapy. But my thing is, healing's not linear, but it's also not instant. We've had a hard time with the sense of society saying, hey, we need instant gratification right now. Like I can go to the doctor right now and say, hey, I have something going on. Let me get some medicine. People come in my office and they say, oh, I have this stuff going on, this trauma. And I say, but do you know how rooted and deep that is? If you started off in childhood, sometimes stuff happens in the womb. That's a lifetime of trauma, lifetime of stressors, not always, because it's not an everyday thing. You're going to have some good days and you're going to have some bad days. But it's the fact of understanding that it took a lifetime to be conditioned this way. So doing the work, it's going to be a process. Healing's not a destination and it's not a deadline. It's unlearning all those unhealthy patterns and behaviors and understanding why. Like I said, not minimizing, because like I said, I was getting abused for 4 years in a relationship and I thought that's what love was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was until I got the awareness and said, this is not what love is. But the only thing I can do is control me. Yes, I could leave, but all I did was leave and I ran into another toxic relationship because I didn't intentionally do the work. I chose to carry that trauma into the next thing because guess what? I didn't want to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we say no more silence, people are scared in therapy to sit with themselves in silence. Even within the spirit, with going through doing the work with Christ, being silent and hearing God and being present in that moment is more uncomfortable, just like therapy. It's that same walk of like going through and getting out of the trauma. It's easy to be in trauma when you're in survival mode. It takes a lot of time for me as a mental health therapist to help people get outside of the survival mode and not respond to trauma and really give them awareness of how they respond to trauma based off the 4 trauma responses. We have fawning, people pleasing. We have freezing, when we numb and disassociate. We have fight mode, when we're constantly overworking ourselves, being busy, because everybody was like, oh, we're so busy. Yeah, you're busy because usually you're avoiding something. Then you have flight, when we're trying to run and go and they're like, hey, I don't want to do this. I continuously tell myself, I want to get away from this. I want to avoid it. But the thing is, then they come to me and they say, oh, I'm triggered. And I tell them, I say, okay, well, a trigger is an unhealed wound. You're only triggered by the fact that you've been in this before. And your nervous system is now responding to this stressful situation of trauma. And that's the thing. Trauma is not, like I said, a big old spectrum of just domestic violence. My trauma sometimes is getting my kids ready for the morning. That's stress.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I want to run and hide.
If you want to call in and ask a question, the phone number is 850-291-4624, or either you can call or even text. Someone is standing by to take your call, or either you want to text and you want to ask a question. Now, you said something that stuck out in my mind when you said it can start in the womb. And I can recall when, even when my mother, she was, I didn't find out till later on that she was pregnant with me, and she was married, and so she was in a adultery relationship. So she was trying to decide whether or not she was going to, because her husband was overseas, so she was trying to decide whether or not she was going to have me as a child, or whether or not she was going to abort me. So it started in the womb as far as rejection. And what happened with me in my life is that, when my husband died, I kept going through all these relationships and always blaming the man and never looking at me, wondering, well, why am I always attracted to men that would abuse me? Because that was not my first abuse. I was in 3 abusive relationships. But when I was able to be alone, and God spoke to me, and it started. I'm not going to go all into detail. It started when it was a storm, and the guy came by and he said, "Okay, what do you want to do with this tree? Do you want me to cut it down or get it from the root?" And it was cheaper for me to have him to cut it off. And so I looked out my window. And when I looked out my window, I said, wait a minute, this tree is growing back. And the Lord said, yeah, because you told him to cut it off. You didn't tell him to get it from the root. If you had got it from the root, it would not have grown back. So God used that analogy to show me in my life. He said, Carolyn, it's time for you to get to the root, because I want to take my wedding band off and let everybody know that, guess what, I'm available now. And he said, no, you keep it on, because you need to get to the root issues. You need to be whole. You need to be delivered. You need to be set free, because if I don't get set free, I'm going to attract the same thing over and over. And so many women, they're wondering why they're going through the same thing over and over. Because you left the person don't mean that you're not still tied to them, because you are not healed. Do you agree with that or not?
So I agree with everything you said. The last part of the healed, because you said what you said, I was like, oh yeah, she got it. You got to be whole. That's the
Mm-hmm.
main thing, because you're
Mm-hmm.
never going to be fully healed until we see Christ. So with that
Mm-hmm.
being said, and I agree with the fact that I always took myself in all these relationships. I was the common denominator. I tell all my clients, you're the
Mm-hmm.
common denominator. Regardless of your situation, regardless of the environment, you're taking yourself with you. So until you really sit with yourself, and I tell people, sitting with yourself in that silence and doing this work intentionally is not lonely. When you have someone that intentionally works with you and tells you and reassures you you're doing this not alone, you're doing this with someone that can give you the tools in your toolbox to be able to recognize the red signs, the red flags, literally in relationships of like, okay, this is the patterns of behaviors that I see myself fawning, people pleasing,
Mm-hmm.
giving up, saying yes when we want to say no, the lack
Mm-hmm.
of boundaries. So the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, a lot of times the people, like you said, the women that continue to suffer from the same type of relationships and that same cycle is because they get the awareness, then they come to the choice. And I always tell my clients, and I always say to people is that when we get that choice, when you see something that's so foreign and you've never been there before, you're going to go back to what's comfortable. As
Yeah.
much as you don't want to be there, it's something that
Mm-hmm.
we tell ourselves that we can control it. But the thing is, when we get in it, it's out of control, it's too far gone. But it's
Yeah.
never too late to change those patterns and behaviors. But from the womb, I stated that, like you said, where it starts from the womb is because when I felt stress, my son felt stress as a mother.
Uh-huh.
So the
Yeah.
thing is, knowing that the sense of your rejection came, Carolyn, from, like you said, feeling that in the womb of your mother, not even wanting you based off the story, it makes
Yeah.
sense for you to be able to say, hey, I'm going to stay in something because guess what? I'm fearful of abandonment. I'm fearful of rejection. If I don't go the way that they want me to do it, or I don't do it the way they want me to, if I don't please and I don't say yes, knowing I should say no, knowing that this doesn't feel right in my spirit, but because I truly don't love myself enough, because I truly don't know who I am outside the relationship, because you're always seeking your mother's approval, what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if I'm seeking my mother's approval, your nervous system and automatically your subconscious is going to say, let me seek approval from everyone else to make myself feel okay and safe within myself. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
false sense. That going through that sense of trying to fill your cup up based off of looking outside of yourself to people to validate you will leave you in a very lonely state of mind, very depressed, very anxious, overthinking what you say, what you don't say to people. So I think those are the things that keep people in toxic relationships, and also truly not feeling as if they can be not dependent on someone, because that's the
Yeah.
thing. I think we've gotten so used to being independent, and independent is not healthy. God made us to be able to do life together with people and be interdependent and not
Uh-huh.
codependent, where when we're internalizing or pleasing others at the expense of our financial, our mental state, or our physical.
Okay, we have someone that texts in a question because it's
Okay.
7:27 now, and they say, why should people consider therapy? Is it the stereotype sitting on a couch and telling your feelings, and that's it?
The stigma and the stereotype around it, and I smile to say that is what I always thought. That's what
Yeah.
most people think, because when you see it, like I said, based off the fact of on TV, what people have said, at one point I was told it was voodoo. And I was like, hold on now. Thinking that it was like how it used to be with Sigmund and Freud. It was like hypnotizing. No, it's not that. Yes, I do have a couch in my office. I'm right here now. But the thing is, I also go with my clients to the bookstore if I have to. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever is best. If we're outside, it's tailored, and it's a safe space that I create so that my
Uh-huh.
clients are seen and heard, and that they know that within this space there's no judgment. They don't have to fear the rejection. They can truly be able to get the tools in their toolbox
Uh-huh.
without the pressure from society. So no, it is a couch in here. No, people just don't lay down. People prop their feet up on the couch. People stand up. People sit down and say, Matea, hey, can we go outside? It's whatever my client makes it be.
Okay. So also we want to I didn't get my partner in here.
I'm
Partner, do you
listening.
want to ask a question? But we do have another question. But Mattel, we do have
Uh,
you scheduled. We had this scheduled for the fourth Thursday, and we had to change it. So let's just keep it
Carolyn,
for next month. We're gonna have to bring you back. Go
if
ahead, Vernon. Do you have a question as a
if
man?
well, if you want to continue it, I know because we hadn't gotten to the resources, and if you want to continue it for another 30 minutes here, we can.
Okay.
If
Oh,
it's up
okay.
to you
Oh,
guys,
good.
because we don't want to. I hate to break the intermission. What you call it? The momentum that we got going here, because you got people calling in, and we can continue for another 30 minutes, about another 20 minutes or so. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Thank
So,
you.
okay. Okay, so I hope that answered that person's question. If you have any questions, anything that you want to ask, you can ask it now. I want to talk about even with myself and some of the things. I'm not going to get into details about what I'm going through right now, but we'll say that for another time. But uh, I know with myself, I had 3 children during the time when I got shot. I had 3 children. And I went on as though nothing happened because I had to take care of the 3 children. So I never grieved for Jamie. I never went to see counseling. Anything, because you have to realize in our culture we don't too much believe in counseling. We believe and I'm not saying anything is wrong with this. We believe in God can heal us, which is true. But for some reason, we believe that when it's mental illness and when it's trauma, but when it comes to a heart attack or whatever, something else that we're going through, we go to the doctor. But for some reason, we have this mindset that, okay, what we think of going to counseling is like, you're crazy. And I know that I didn't go and seek counseling, but I know that I was reading a book and it's called The Body Keeps Score. Can you elaborate on that?
The Body Keeps Score is an amazing book, a great resource for people to use. I do always tell people, when you're reading self help books, please really just consult with a clinician, in the sense of doing the actual work that goes against,
Mm-hmm.
like, goes with it, and interchangeably, because sometimes it does become really heavy. And what I heard you say, Carolyn, and what stuck with me was the fact that all you did was move on. That's what we've been told. In Black culture, it is very easy to move on, to move on. But what I try to normalize within therapy and mental health is that we have to revisit our past so we can stop moving on, but also move forward in a healthy way. Because when we move on, all we do is we sweep that on the rug. We're just sweeping, sweeping, sweeping underneath the rug. And then guess what happens? Somebody trips. That's the emotional triggers. That's the things that, oh yeah, this person did this to me. So now I'm not talking to this person. I'm not communicating, but I never set a boundary. I don't know how to have emotional regulation. So I snapped on you based off the fact that I couldn't control my emotions. So the thing is, the body keeps scores a lot of times because with us in our culture, we have a hard time recognizing, like you said, that it is truly okay and normalizing. It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist, because the thing is, if we can trust God with our spiritual journey, why don't we trust him with our mental journey? We go and try to control our mental. I tell people that the only that has the keys on the inside is our mind. But the thing is, here goes the false sense of control. We think that we can do it. We can be little God, that we can micromanage and we can fix these things. A lot of times people don't need to be fixed. They need to be taught and brought into awareness and learn the terminology, learn how to name it and tame it. Because people think, oh yeah, this child's disrespectful. This man doesn't want to talk to me. He's avoiding me. Sometimes people do things based off the fact of fear driving their bus and not having the tools in their toolbox to be able to articulate how they feel. And I have a pillow in my office sitting right here that I utilize based off the fact of people, I didn't know my emotions. I grew up normalizing the fact of being mad, angry, happy, all those little basic words. But I never knew that anger was a secondary emotion based off the feeling of being hurt and dealing with the hurt. Because in our culture, it's been said, guess what? You're hurt. You got to keep going. You can't take time to grieve. You have to keep going because people are expecting things of you. But my thing is, when that you're burning the candle at the two ends, they say, like burning the candle at both ends. When do you say, hey, I got to show it for me? I have to choose me. I have to look internally within myself to see how my actions and behaviors and what I've allowed for with other people. Because the thing is, we teach people how to treat us.
Wow, that's
And
good.
we teach people how to treat us. So when we get upset when people treat us disrespectfully, my thing is, how do we treat ourselves? How do we speak to ourselves? How do we love on ourselves, but then we expect someone else to love us that don't even have the capacity because they don't even love themselves?
Well, you know, two things that I want to say is, one of the things that I had to do was I realized that I didn't love Carolyn. So I had to get to the point where I love me. And since I love me, I'm not going to let anyone treat me any kind of way. When I love me, I'm not looking for happiness. I am happy because I love Carolyn. I love being alone. If this is where I have to be right now, I'm good with that. But I seen before where I wasn't. So it took me being healed in order to get to that point. And another thing that you said, I couldn't understand. I think it's probably been about 7 months ago. Um, and the Lord started dealing with me, and He said, I want you to go back to the place. I said, go back to the place. He said, I want you to go back to the house where you got shot. And I'm like, mm. So I wrestled with that for a while. And so finally I would drive by, but I would never stop. So finally one day I was across the street and the Lord said, go. And I went, and the people that live in the house, they were sitting on the porch. So I proceed to tell them my story and stuff, and tell them that, I need to go back. But when I went back, check this out. When I went back, I was able to see something that I did not see before. I was able to see my children. I was able to see the reaction of my children because they saw what happened to me. And I never had seen that before, and I was able to see things that I never seen before. So what I was doing was I was suppressing all this and moving on and not knowing that somewhere in life, all of this that we carry in us, if we don't deal with it, it will deal with us.
And that's so true, Carolyn, because the thing is, what I heard is that, and what I heard was literally that you can't heal in the fire that burns you. You can't heal when
Mm,
you're still in the fire that burns you. So if you're in that house, and the thing is, I call it codependent glasses. When we're in those type of relationships and we're people pleasing and we're internalizing and we're looking for external validation, we literally put on rose gold glasses and we see everything like rainbows and unicorns. So the thing is,
mhm,
if I'm in the fire, if I'm in the trauma, I'm not going to see anything except what I want to see. That vision is so blurred. Like you're literally, your unsubconscious is telling you, hey, it's going to be okay. They're going to do better. But the thing
mhm,
is, when you come out of that and you come outside of that fire and you start to do the work intentionally, and then you're able to go back and you look back, because I look at my life and I say, God, I see where your hand was still on me. I see how you protected me. I see how the reason why every sense of the trauma that I went through, I always go back and tell people, I said, the trauma is not your fault, but the healing's your responsibility. So
wow.
if you choose to continue with the same cycle of constantly allowing the fire to burn you, it's like what the
Mhm,
saying says, if you go touch a stove and it's hot, and you tell a child don't do that and they go back and touch it, that's all you're doing. Let me go back to this relationship. And that's what
mhm,
triggers are in wounds. We put band-aids on I tell people we put band-aids on temporary problems to say, okay,
mhm,
this is what it is. It's a temporary fix. A temporary fix for a permanent problem that has been rooted within yourself based on
mhm.
the fact of what somebody probably has told you, what the enemy has lied to you and said, that you
Yeah.
have started to water that seed. And the thing
Mhm.
is, like you said, we suppress in the sense of, if I tell my story, how are people going to see me? How are they going to judge me?
Stay right there. Stay right there because we have a question. How would you
Okay.
encourage someone to seek professional help when they feel ashamed that they are in an abusive situation to begin with?
The thing is, finding a therapist that literally looks at you and says, hey, that doesn't define you. I tell my clients all the time, you can sit here and you can lie to me all day long. I know what's going on. But if I open that closet door, if I open my closet and I told you everything else that I went through, why would you trust me? Would you believe me? No, I'm truly doing this work with you. So having a client that comes in here feeling shameful, that's always going to be the sense of, because I'm in this right now. The
Mm-hmm.
courage to literally pick up the phone, and I tell people, don't hesitate to call for therapy based off financial. Pick up the phone and say, hey, Matea, can I get a consultation? That's free. You never know how someone will bless you. I've given people sessions and said, hey, I see you truly want to do this. I see that you truly want help. But the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
one thing I know as a codependent in recovery, I cannot want anything more than my clients or anybody else in my life. Because when you start to want something for somebody else, you start to see if they truly want it. And then that's
Yeah.
where we start to be the fixer. We're trying to make somebody be there. So I always tell people, if they're feeling shameful, if they feel like somebody's going to judge them based off a clinician, date around. I might not be the person for you, but date around. Finding a therapist that truly can say, hey, I've been here before, and not just throw the book at you. The same way with church. Nobody's gonna want to go to church and somebody just throwing the Bible at you. You want
Yeah.
real tools in your toolbox to be able to apply it to your life and cope in a healthy manner.
We have
Let me
another
ask.
question.
Go ahead.
Say,
Go ahead.
want to
Go
say
ahead with the
something?
question.
Go ahead, Vernon. Go ahead. Go
No, no,
ahead,
I was
Vernon.
just, no. Let answer the question first. I was just going to, because I was curious as to and I think that's one of the most important points to be made tonight is that you need to seek help and seek counseling, professional services that's available to you, because you can't go through this by yourself. And we have professional services available for people that can do that. And but Kevin, go ahead and ask your question. And then because you got those, Kevin, when you tell me about Favor House and different organizations that's available to help people.
Okay. I'm going to I'll say the question in a few minutes. If you're in a domestic violence relationship, you can call the National Domestic Violence at 1-800-799-7233. You can also call Favor House. That's 850-434-6600. If you're in a domestic violence relationship, and you can also call Jamie's house at 850-291-4624. That is a place for a family, a mom that's in a domestic violence relationship and they want help and they want out. And it's already set up. It has 2 rooms, a room for a girl, bunk beds, and it has a room for a boy, bunk beds, and then also have a room for mom. It is a nice place. So if you want, just like we're saying, the choice is yours. You have to come to that point that you really want help. So another question is, how do I mentally end the cycle of choosing abuse?
Showing up. The first step is saying, I'm in one. I'm in an abusive relationship. The thing is, I always tell people in this work, you have to be honest, you have to be open and transparent, and also with the H, humble.
Yeah.
You have to be able to come in here and literally, like I said, it's just like when I said yes to Christ. I had to surrender and I had to come in here and lay it out. It's like, but therapy is truly pulling that onion back layer by layer. It's not just that one session. And that's the thing of just saying, hey, I'm not okay, without the sense of feeling like someone's going to shame me for staying in something. I definitely don't shame anybody for staying in an abusive relationship, because the thing is, I was at one point in that situation and I didn't know my worth. But once I started to do the work, once I started to say, hey, somebody actually sees me and they hear me, not based off what I do for them, but based off who I am, and start to feel safe and secure. And like I said, it's baby steps. It's an everyday thing. And there's days that I tell people I don't want to heal. I tell my clients to have grace. But the thing is, we've been conditioned to feel as if you're either being perfect or you're failing. So guess what? If I didn't do what mom and daddy said, I didn't get married and have kids like I did. Guess what? I had kids out of wedlock. I had to come to terms with that within myself and say, guess, Matea, God forgives you. I was the one wrestling with that. I inflicted that on the demand, and say I can walk around with the identity of, okay, she had kids out of wedlock. The same way a domestic violence literally survivor or a victim right now in a relationship can choose to walk around with, hey, I've been in an abusive relationship. Or they can choose to say, hey, I'm going to seek help so I can find ways to get out, even if it's not immediate, but being able to be proactive instead of reactive.
What I love about this is that, when they come to you for services, it's not like they coming to someone that have not experienced or went through what they went through. And so that's where you're able to really open up. That's why so many women and men stay in those relationships, because they will not open up. They will not tell anyone what they are going through. And so when it happens, it's like people are saying, I didn't know that they went through this. I didn't know they was going through this. You have to know that when you're going through something like this, you always wear a mask. You pretend like everything is okay. You show people what you want them to know, not what they really need to know. And so you're able to tell them, you know what? I'm not just giving you mental health advice. Yes, I'm a licensed therapist, but I'm giving you experience, something that I went through, something that I walked through before I became a therapist. So therefore, I'm able to help you, not to judge you, not to make you feel shame. I can't, because I came out. And that's the thing about No More Silence, is to show people, if I came out, you can come out also. So many times what happened is the enemy is playing games with your mind and saying, there's no way out. You would never make it. You would never amount to anything. You would never be anything. You would never have your own business. How are you going to make it? You know, that was one of the things that my ex told me. He said, no one would ever want you. And you got these 3 children. They would never want you. And I believe that. And then all of a sudden I say, wait a minute. Something is not right with this. When I married you, I had 3 children and you wanted me. So he was trying to get in my mind and let me know, to try to keep me there. Nobody gonna want you. And I'm like, later on when I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, Carolyn. I know I was not in my right mind, because I would not have stooped this low to get someone that looked like him. But it was based on emotions, and it was based on needs. So I want to tell the women out there is that so many times you get in a relationship based on what you need. You get in a relationship based on your emotions. And when you do that, you're going to take whatever. I hear about a lot of a lot of women going on Facebook. Now, if it worked for you, fine. But I'm not going on Facebook to try to find me a man. No, no, no. I'm not that hard up that I need to go on Facebook to try to find me a man. If you can't be happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with somebody else. You cannot look for someone to make you happy. And a lot of people don't understand it. They say, "Well, you know what? You're beautiful. You look nice. I know you got some. I know I'm beautiful. I already know that. I know I look good for my age. I already know that. But I am content with me. For once in my life, and I never thought that I would ever get to this place where I am happy with Carolyn. If God chooses for me to have someone, fine. If not, I'm content. I'm content. It's
Because
nothing.
that's because that's the little version of Carolyn. I'm sorry, I had to break in, stop you real
That's
quick, because that's the little version. That's the little version of Carolyn that is literally. That's what I say. Like, so the thing is, when we're getting these relationships, women, men, anybody, and just people in general, you have to ask yourself who's showing up in that space. Is it the little version of you, or is it
wow.
the adult version? And the thing is, little Matea wanted to be seen and heard. Little Matea wanted to feel like she was good enough. I wanted to feel as if that the love, I knew my mother loved me, but she also didn't give it to me, or my father. Like, I knew they loved me, but it's something that was inside of me as a person and a unique individual. Just because you love someone this way doesn't mean you can love that way. Every child I have, I love equally the same, but it's definitely different because every child was born into a different home. They were born into a
Mm-hmm,
different family. I was a different person each time. So the thing
mm-hmm,
is, when little version of Matea showed up in relationships, wanting someone to say, "You're good enough. You're worthy. I'm proud of you." I settle for any type of little bit of accomplishment or praise. So I would stay in those relationships. So I hear you, like you said, Carolyn. I feel like little Carolyn is at peace because she's loved. She knows that, guess what? Even though her mother might have not wanted her, even though her father's things had happened, even though the men in her life, she knows who loves her unconditionally. And she's not seeking external validation to fill an internal void that
mm-hmm,
somebody else in her childhood caused. So that's the part of really looking within ourselves and saying, hey, someone caused this trauma. That's not my fault. But guess what? We got to heal from it. We're the ones that
mm-hmm,
got to do the work.
mm-hmm.
They didn't know what
And
to do.
one thing that you said, that I didn't get to this place overnight. It took time to get here. And I think what happens is we want to rush and think, okay, because if you rush it, a lot of times we don't even know what's wrong with us. We don't even know why we react the way that we react, why we do what we do. So it really takes time, and you owe that to yourself is to go and get the help that you need. And you need to say before you even go, don't just show up. You need to say whatever it takes. I don't care how long it takes, because I'm not just doing it for me. When I did it, I didn't just do it for me. I did it for my children. I owe this to my children because I took them through this. So I owe it to them to be a better mom, to be the very best that I can be, to be a better version of Carolyn. So you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for your children. So you need to make up your mind. You know what? I know this is not going to take overnight. But whatever it takes, I know usually when you go to counseling, I know being in counseling is say, okay, it might be a year. And if you feel like you need more, you can come back then, because sometimes your insurance pays for a year or whatever. But anyway, you need to make the decision that, you know what, mental health, going to see someone, getting counseling, along with God,
Is the
it
best
will work.
thing. It's okay to have both.
It's,
It's the only way to do
it's
it,
okay to have both.
because
It's okay to have
it's so
both.
true. It's
Yeah,
okay to have
and
both. And the
we
thing
feel
is,
like we feel like we don't need that, you know. And I know the power of God. I know it was God that brought me out of my situation. You know, I was in a coma,
amen.
so I know the power of God. I also know the power of counseling. I also know that sometimes it takes both. Don't be so holier than thou and think that's not what you need. You know, we say that's not what we need when we have not even tried it.
Not even knowing. And the thing is,
Not
that's
even
so true,
knowing.
Carolyn. But the thing is, people choose. I tell people, if more people were doing the work and healing, the thing is, people would be much nicer. The world would be peaceful. But the thing is, it's so fearful. People are fearful. They're fearful to really look in the mirror and say, wow, this is who I really am. Because it's okay to put on face. It's okay to sit there and put that mask on and portray an image and put on codependent glasses and live in a fantasy world of like, this is what I'm striving for. But when the Lord says, I didn't ask you to strive, I asked you to sit at
Mm,
my feet and be in my presence. We get into the sense of being cuffed to the constant of like Martha. We're constantly going distracted, running, worrying about the everything, everybody's business, everything. Because I tell people, we come to therapy because the people around us don't go to therapy. But then there
mm-hmm,
becomes a time when I'm like, okay, you're still here. So guess who's the problem? And it's not even being about the being the problem. It's the fact of understanding that there are things that's within you, patterns and behaviors, that until you understand, this is the reason why you respond this way. Usually the thing is we're reacting based off of emotions, like you said. It's short
mm-hmm.
fused. It's based off the fact that right now in this moment I feel this way. So truly getting that awareness and also reaching out to people. And I tell anybody, any of the viewers, please do not hesitate to just reach out and call Be Still Therapy and be like, hey, Matea, are you going to be having a group pretty soon? Because that's the things that I'm going to be offering, is trying to give the community back mental health groups that are pro bono, that's free, are low cost. Because the thing is, I hate to turn people around based off the fact of not having the finances, not having the insurance, because it's something that we have to say it stops with us. Because when I chose to be sober, when I chose to start doing this work, I said, this truly ends with me. The generational trauma wasn't going to continue on to my kids, because the thing is, I had to start reparenting my oldest son and telling him, you're safe, you're secure. Just because mommy was drinking before, that person's gone. The thing is, being transparent and having those really uncomfortable conversations. That's why people don't come to therapy, because I make people uncomfortable. That couch
Mm.
looks comfortable over there, but it's really uncomfortable, because that's where you heal at. That's where you grow at. You can't grow when you're comfortable. comfort truly, Michael Todd said it, that pastor, he said, comfort kills our calling.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
at Be Still Therapy, I do not allow people to get comfortable. I'll sit with you in your stuff, but I won't let you stay there.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the thing
And that's
about
what I
it,
think, not having somebody advocate for you and saying, like you said, Carolyn, like when you're just so used to going to church and praying, but then you're like, okay, but mentally, there's a prison up here. And I tell people
mm-hmm,
that's the only prison with the key is on the inside. You have to unlock that. So
yeah,
sharing your story and coming in therapy, I tell people that's the only reason why I share mine with my clients and I self-disclose certain things based off being ethically right. I let them know that my story can be the keys to unlock your prison.
yeah.
So
Carolyn,
I
we got
tell
about
people,
2 minutes.
don't hide your
We
shame.
got
Yeah.
what,
Oh, so
Vernon? We got what?
We got about 2 minutes left. Okay.
Okay. I
And
thank you for tuning in. We're going to let you just tell where your business is located and how they can get in contact with you, and then I'll close it out. Let them know where they can get in
well,
contact with you. Yes.
I am first off, I just want to say thank you for all the listeners, all the viewers, and thank you for Evangelist Carolyn and Vernon for allowing me to hold space with y'all. And y'all are such amazing in the work that you're doing. And I love the fact that the title of it is No More Silence, because the thing is, we don't have to continue suffering in silence.
Yeah.
We can come together and know that it's okay not to be okay, and we don't have to do this walk alone. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody that wants to reach out, that wants to just have a consultation, they can come to call that number right there. They can email me. They can follow me on TikTok at Matea Ashley. They can follow me on Instagram at Be Still Therapy. And just like I said, do not reach out based off the fact of what you have perceived therapy to be, because it's whatever you make it. And I'm just honored that if anybody comes to me, even if they don't come for therapy, that it's always by God's divine intervention and not coincidence. And I would make sure that I do the best of my ability to make sure that you feel safe and secure and seen and heard in this space.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to thank Vernon. Vernon, we thank you, partner in crime. You wasn't able to say anything, but thank you so much. And
I'm
remember,
so sorry, Vernon. Thank you for
it's
helping me with
okay.
my camera. You're amazing.
He's okay. He's okay with it. But tune in. We come
no, I'm
on
not. I
the
need to
4th.
set up a session with you, Mateus. I'm
Come
not okay
on.
because Carolyn just abused me from. But anyway, I'm just joking.
The fourth Thursday of the month. The fourth Thursday of the month, you can come on and listen to No More Silence. And remember that there is so much resource. If you're in a domestic violence relationship, call 1-800-799-7233 or either Favor House 850-434-6600 or Jamie's House 850-291-4624. Even if you're not thinking about coming out yet, just call and get the information. So we're going to say this is a wrap, and thank you so much for joining us on tonight, and tune in. You never know. She might be back next month. And good night. And thank
Good
you.
night.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And we went over. This is a special show. We went an hour tonight, but hopefully we can catch it again on WBQP. We'll play it periodically throughout the month on WBQP. Plus, it's on social media, and it's also on WBQP mobile app anytime you want it. Okay. All right, ladies. Thank you. We'll see you again next month.
Thank you.
See you
All
next
right.
month.
Will do.